There's one thing you need to know about the weather this week, and I'll tell you exactly what that is. We'll take a look at the weather for the upcoming work week, plus the potential for another severe weather outbreak as we head into the weekend. So we'll have all of that and much more. A new episode of Cold Rain's Weather World's coming at you right now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Cold Rain's Weather Channel. This is Jason Pritchard here back with you with your daily weather update. And we're going to take a look at the weather for the upcoming work week and tell you everything that you need to know so that you can be prepared as you tackle your week. We're also going to talk about the upcoming severe weather threat for this weekend a little bit later in the show. But we're going to start, as we always do, with our daily weather question. Today's question is about fronts. If you know the answer, type it in the comment section. If you don't, then wait till the end of the show and I'll have the answer for you. So the question is, what type of front is associated with long periods of rain and cloudy weather? Is it A, a cold front, B, a stationary front, C, a warm front, or D, an occluded front? So type the answer in if you know it. If not, then we'll get to it at the end of the show. Now, we're going to start here with our satellite picture, and we're going to take a look at what it is showing us. There's a little bit of severe weather out there this morning, and we've got a little bit of a severe weather threat, particularly around Louisiana into southern Mississippi. You can see the activity showing up with that very well here on our satellite imagery with these very cold cloud tops. That is all moving to the east and northeast. All of this up and down the eastern seaboard, this cloudiness is in association with a cold front stemming from this parent low back here north of the Great Lakes. You can kind of see that counterclockwise spin there on the satellite imagery. So you've got a line of rain showers from essentially up here in New England all the way down to the Gulf Coast that will continue to push east through the day. So expect to see lots of clouds and showers if you're traveling anywhere from, say, Mobile, Alabama, all the way up to Caribou, Maine. So very, very dreary day along the East Coast, but that's okay because we need a little bit of rain here. And as you can see out west, just a little river of activity moving into the northwest. So we've got a little storm system, a little wave after wave kind of coming in here to the Pacific Northwest, bringing some rain and snow to the higher elevations out here. And that will just continue on as we go through the next couple of days. Now, taking a look at our radar, if we go over here to our radar imagery, we can actually see quite well this area of activity down here across the south. As a matter of fact, if we kind of center that and zoom in on it, we can really see, so places like Hattiesburg, Gulfport, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, you guys have had plenty of rain this morning. As you can see, those storm systems. We had a little bow echo move through here that brought some winds and gusting to near 80 miles per hour back in Louisiana. So all of that activity is just going to push on off to the east. And you can see that heavy rain kind of work through this afternoon. This is a little bit of a future radar image that we're seeing here. So we're going to back this back out and see rain up and down the eastern seaboard. So anywhere from Atlanta to Columbia to Charlotte, up to Richmond, Washington, New York, Boston. You guys are socked in this afternoon with rain. A few light showers kind of moving through the heartland area, the upper plains, actually, I should say. Snow showers over the lakes. This little not really an atmospheric river event per se, but there's quite a bit of clouds and moisture streaming into the northeast, and that'll just keep the northeastern portion of the country and southeastern Canada kind of socked in with showers and thunderstorms. This afternoon, look at this alerts map. This is the cleanest this map has looked in a very, very long time. Really, the only area that we're of the country that's under the gun at all, really, with hazardous weather would be down here in Louisiana. Got a couple of winter weather advisories up here in eastern Maine, but other than that, not much going on across the country. The Storm Prediction Center has the area down toward the Gulf Coast that we talked about highlighted with a slight risk, and a little bit of a marginal risk kind of surrounds that along the panhandle of Florida back into Louisiana. So we'll see some showers and thunderstorm activity continue to persist through the afternoon there. Out of this is the National Weather Service office out of Baton Rouge. This is New Orleans. I'm sorry. This is New Orleans, and so we're looking at the radar image here out of New Orleans, and you can see that area of heavier showers and storms kind of moving along the Gulf Coast, prompting some special marine warnings. That's moving offshore now. But a lot of heavy rain back from Macomb to Hattiesburg, and so that'll continue to push off to the east, as you can see here. This afternoon or yesterday, we had quite a bit of severe weather across the slight risk that we've been talking about. So lots of hail reports. I saw hail reports up to 2 inches in diameter in some of those reports. We had one tornado touchdown and kind of damage a house and some power lines and knocked a couple of trees down, and a few wind reports as well. So, not a big severe weather outbreak, but definitely several reports of severe weather there. So this afternoon, as we take a look at what's going on, low pressure sitting over here north of the Great Lakes. We've got this cold front extending all the way down back to the Gulf Coast. These little waves of low pressure will continue to draw in moisture, so hence that line of showers that will move continually across the east section of the country out off the coast by later tonight. So today is going to be a cloudy and rainy day up and down much of the eastern seaboard, and then just little waves of low pressure moving in to the northwest here, bringing rain to Seattle and Spokane and over into Helena, with some showers potentially mixed with snow in the higher elevations, but nothing too major. Just some slick spots, some wet spots. Slow down if you're traveling in the Great Lakes where you're seeing some little bit of light snow activity there. So that's your sensible weather for today. Now the temperatures looking pretty above average most of the country. I mean, we're not really seeing a lot of cold air penetrating in, except for up here in northern New England, where you all will stay below freezing today. Up here in Caribou and Montpelier and places like that will probably not get out of the low 30s. So stay bundled up there. Otherwise, you'll get above freezing most everywhere in the country, particularly along the western and southern sections, where you can see temperatures into the 70s, even 80s in Texas, where it's a little bit cooler in the east. You guys will stay in the 60s and 70s over there. So here in Morganton, North Carolina, where I am, we're looking at temperatures getting into the mid 60s and clouds with showers. I've already seen some showers this afternoon. Low temperatures tonight, lows in the 30s and 20s across the north. Teens even up in the higher elevations of the Rockies, as you would expect, 30s and 40s for much of the country until you get to the southern tier, where you're seeing lows around 40s, 50s, and 60s. Now, that is your current weather roundup for the day. So up next, we have our weather fact of the day, and today's weather fact is about tornadoes. So far this year, we have had 188 confirmed tornadoes. Now, the assessments are still ongoing, so that number actually could increase, but our average thus far is, through the month of March, is 156 tornadoes. So we are well ahead of average, and looking at some of the longer range data, it looks like we'll continue to have an active spring, with the chance for tornadoes increasing as we go through April. So we could stay well ahead of average for the spring. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, the one thing that you need to know as you go through your work week this week is that we are in a little bit of a different weather pattern. This is going to hit a little bit differently than what we've seen, with all of the active weather kind of moving through the country, sparking all kinds of weather hazards, lots of big wind, lots of fire weather concerns. And so this new pattern that we're in, for at least temporarily, is going to bring a little bit of relief from that. So it's going to be a nice week for the much of the nation. It's also going to be quite above normal. We can see our jet stream here kind of showing some of that. We've got our northern branch of the jet kind of moving like this, and then our southern branch down here not really affecting us all that much. You can see that line of storms and showers up and down the east coast. That will get out of the way, and as we put this on into motion, we can see through the week what happens. So ridging out west is going to block essentially storm systems from coming onto the west coast. It'll send energy up here into Canada and then down across the northern tier. The southern jet will keep some clouds at times across the south, but not really anything too much in the way of major weather. So Wednesday, if we go on into Thursday, now when we get on into Thursday into the end of the weekend, we see a little bit of troughing here in the northeast. So we could see some rain return back up here into the northeast as we get later on into the week. But look here, this ridge starts to break down and progress east, and the jet begins to poke into the west coast again. That is going to lead to starting to see some shower and thunderstorm activity work in as we get into Saturday and Sunday, and that'll set the stage for another one of those low pressure systems, troughs in the plains, to strengthen and bring in some moisture out of the Gulf and set the stage for a severe weather event potentially this weekend. So that's what's going on with your jet stream. If we look at temperatures over the course of the next several days, you're looking at an average essentially from the 27th through April the 1st. So quite a bit above average over the next week. So we're going to see temperatures just continue to remain above average across the north. Maybe we get a little bit of relief across the, or the south, I'm sorry. Maybe we get a little bit of relief across the north as we head into early next week. In the meantime, what does the weather look like each day? So Tuesday afternoon, so tomorrow afternoon, we've got, some systems generally trajecting out of the northwest to the southeast. So clouds across the north with a few isolated showers here and there, some snow showers working across New England. That gets out of the picture. So tomorrow's going to be a pretty nice day, maybe some showers across Texas and Louisiana. And then we get on into Wednesday and we've got another severe weather risk. So we can see this here. Let's go to a different display here. We can see another little bit of a severe weather threat, this time up in the Pacific Northwest, where you guys don't usually see a lot of weather up there. So Spokane, Portland, Washington, you all could see as a system works in, there's a little bit of destabilization going on in the atmosphere. Moisture comes in, some shear picks up. You could see a few rumbles of thunder, and it wouldn't surprise me to actually see some wind reports come out of this, but it doesn't, again, look like a big severe weather outbreak, but something to be aware of if you're traveling up into the Pacific Northwest. So you can kind of see that play out in, on the surface map here. Wednesday afternoon, if we put this into motion, you see a little bit of activity off the northeast coast. That'll bring some rain to New England, a little snow on the backside up there, nothing too much to write home about. That system works into the northwest, and you can see shower and thunderstorm activity associated with that. Some instability and shear could spawn a few severe reports up there, not too much to get too excited about. And then as we get on into Thursday, we see a little system down here in South Texas working through, up into maybe Corpus Christi, Galveston, Houston as the day goes on. Thursday, as we get into Friday, more rain pushing onto the northwest, cloudy and cool across the northern tier, maybe a few clouds working into the Tennessee Valley, not too much going on in the northeast. And then Friday afternoon, as we work into Friday afternoon, we start to see more shower and thunderstorm activity down in Texas, a little system working north of the border, bring some rain and snow up along the Canadian border, rain mostly to the south. And then we see the stage setter, this low pressure area that's worked in from the west coast, starting to generate low pressure in the plains that will intensify and create a trough that will drag up moisture out of the Gulf as we get into the weekend. And we will talk about that in just a few minutes. So that is a look at the weather for your upcoming work week. The only other thing I would point out is that although winds will generally be lighter than they have been over the past couple of weeks, relative humidity values will be lower than 30%, particularly in the afternoon, particularly along the southern tier of the country from the desert southwest to the southeast. So meaning when you grab those door handles, you're going to get that shock. Plus, it'll continue to dry the ground out outside. So I would continue to discourage burning in those areas. So this day in weather history, way back in 1888, the good folks of Chepstow, England, witnessed 3 3/4 inch snowflakes fall like plates from the sky. This lasted for 2 minutes, and the snow accumulated to a depth of 2 inches. Each snowflake had the liquid equivalent of 0.33 inches. That would equate to 9.9 inches of precipitation per hour. That is impressive. So as promised, we're going to take a look at the weather for the upcoming weekend, including the severe threat that is emerging. Now, we saw in the jet stream earlier that the jet begins to point back into California as we get to the weekend. That's going to allow systems to sort of track in this way across the Four Corners region. And when they do, they will begin to intensify out here into the plains, create a low pressure system, shoot to the northeast, and drag a cold front through. This will help bring good moisture return back up out of the Gulf. Now, we're going to see that transpire over the course of the weekend. To what degree, we'll have to wait and see, because this is way out there in time and we can't certainly nail the particulars down, but there's enough confidence of that scenario unfolding that the Storm Prediction Center has issued a 15% risk of severe weather for portions of the east central plains on Saturday. And then on Sunday, let's go and take a look at what Sunday looks like. And it looks like this. A much, much bigger area. This system looks to have much more of a warm sector to work with, meaning that there's going to be good southwesterly flow. When you get good southwesterly flow out of the Gulf, you get these nice dew points that work all the way up in to the Tennessee and Ohio valleys toward the Great Lakes, even into the southeast. And so that's what we're going to be watching for. If we get that rich moisture transport with an above normal temperature pattern and a storm system working in, watch out, folks. We're going to have a severe weather outbreak. And so that's what we're looking at here. Again, we'll watch the particulars as we get through the week, but that's what the SPC is seeing there. Now, taking a look at the surface map, if we take a look here at our tropical tidbits surface map, you can see for Saturday, as we get into the afternoon hours, we're seeing thunderstorms begin to develop out here. This is an earlier version of the European. The latest version actually has storm system or the storms firing a little bit north of this as well. So you can see through the afternoon hours on Saturday, things kind of diminish a little bit, but renewed on Sunday, that low pressure begins to take shape. It's not going to be particularly strong, but if you've got good southwesterly flow, it doesn't have to be. And so you'll have some decent wind shear, good trajectories out of the Gulf, and you see thunderstorm activity that all shifts off as we go into Monday. So we've been watching this end of April or end of March, early April timeframe here. And so we will continue to watch that as we get into the weekend. But certainly, if you live anywhere from Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, eastern Texas, all the way into the Gulf Coast, northern half of Georgia, western portions of the Carolinas, West Virginia into Ohio, you need to watch out this weekend for the potential for severe weather. We will take a look at that as we get on into the week ahead. And then the last couple of things here, just to be aware of, as I said earlier, much of the country this week above normal temperature wise, a little bit below normal as we get on into week 2 out here in the west as another trough reemerges, but very, very above normal, potentially over Texas and parts of New Mexico, maybe setting some record temperatures in some of these areas too. Week 2, above normal precipitation out west across the northern tier and below across the south. That is your 2-week ahead outlook, and we're going to go ahead and wrap up now with the answer to today's trivia question. And if you remember the question, it was what type of front is associated with long periods of rain and cloudy weather? Cold front, stationary front, warm front, or an occluded front? And the answer is a stationary front. We often see cold fronts blast through with cold air behind and a quick line of showers ahead. Sometimes we see warm fronts lift north, and you tend to see a little bit more widespread rain with warm fronts, but occasionally the steering flow can be such that a cold front comes through and the winds begin to blow parallel on this side and this side, and so you get to have, you end up not having a lot of movement to that cold front, and that can just lead to continued areas of showers and potentially thunderstorms if there's instability, and you can get some high rainfall rates, potentially flash flooding. So that is what a stationary front is. Anyway, I hope you've had a good time and enjoyed the show. I hope you've learned a little bit, and now you know the weather, and now you know about cold fronts. And with that, this is Cold Rain reminding you that if other weather stations run 24/7, we got you covered 48/14 right here at Cold Rain Weather. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.